not very efficient. And the Zoom is to, this little book and on Zoom is to try to help each of us identify those 77 inefficient behaviors and see whether we can do better. And this little booklet is not meant to be an end on itself, of itself, because it's only meant to be a starter for all of us to be inspired by this method of thinking, so that you can accumulate, build your own little Shi Ban Gong Bei list as such. All of these seven behaviors are inefficient, irrational, and we are trying to figure out how can we be more efficient, more logical, more effective. Okay, so that's the gist of this. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen now. And we're going to start now. Let's see. Okay. Do that. Share. Take this out. Okay. So I'm going to share screen now. Okay, Linghui, you can see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So Linghui and Dr. Chen, I'll be periodically asking you these to verify. And also, if anyone has questions, please feel free to put your question in the chat room, so that by the end of this, you can read your question. Dr. Chen and Linghui will open up your microphone, so you can ask question freely. And to put in the question in the chat room is give you a chance to remember these questions. Also in the chat room, Dr. Ming Chen will periodically copy and paste my little signature block, so that you can take an iPhone picture of it anytime, including this screen in front of you, so that at any time or afterwards, if you have any question, you can contact me then. So this is the first screen. You can take a picture of it. So all my contact information is on this screen right now. Shi Ban Gong Bei is an ancient Chinese saying about accomplishing twice the work in half the time, combining the wisdom of the East and the West to accomplish things more successfully and efficiently. And I'm Ming Wang. I reside in Nashville, Tennessee. These are my email addresses, website, and also WeChat address. And there's a free link. There's a free link to watch the film site. You can take a picture of the screen and you can pass this free link to anyone. The film tells the story of a Chinese American immigrant, like many of us are tonight, and our life journey from China, from East to West, and how we are trying to find a way to realize our American dream as such. And Robbie Grayson, who is the publisher of Shi Ban Gong Bei, I will ask him in a short while to summarize the why he chose to publish this book as such. In terms of my bio, I'm not going to spend too much time going over, other than highlight the red area, that the film Sight is based on my autobiography, From Darkness to Sight, co-starring Greg Kinnear. And I came from mainland China, Hangzhou. I've got the chance to earn 2 doctorate degrees, one in medicine, one in laser physics. And I've developed the amniotic membrane contact lens, which has been used worldwide now. Millions of patients have benefited. And finally, we have a foundation for sight restoration to help blind orphan children and the folks there who could not afford care. And that's basically my bio. Shi Ban Gong Bei, we host a Zoom every 3rd Wednesday of every month. And so next one, you can take a picture of this, is March 19th, Wednesday, same time, same place. And if you're interested in receiving a free copy of the little booklet, which you can finish reading in 10 minutes, you can email me your mailing address. So just take a picture of the screen. You see my email address in the lower left corner. Just email me your mailing address. Now I want to invite the publisher, Robbie Grayson, the publisher of Shi Ban Gong Bei, and you see a little write-up here. This was written on the right side. This write-up was written by Robbie himself as the publisher. So Robbie, can you share with us why you decide to publish this book? What do you believe the value of Shi Ban Gong Bei little booklet as such?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Ming. So I owned a school for about 12 years in Middle Tennessee. And for high school, I just decided, because of the research I'd done, that I would require my students to learn Mandarin because it would make them stick out. Well, little did I know that my students, that Beijing was paying attention to my little school because of where I was located here in Williamson County. But my students took the first year Chinese exam, and I received certificates from Beijing as well as invitations to come to China. Well, I thought I would never go to China, but I finally did in 2011. It was my first trip. I went to Beijing, went to Sichuan province, Chengdu. So then I went again. I took my wife. And throughout that process, I was exposed to the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. And I was so impressed. I've read probably almost 40 different versions of the Tao Te Ching. And it's such a beautiful, in my opinion, primer for how to accept the things that happen in life. And so when I met Dr. Ming Wang, I would come to his meetings quite a lot. I read a lot about him. I knew people who knew him. But he gave me a copy one time of his pearls. And I thought, these are amazing. So I sat on them for about several years. I felt like I understood them well enough. Then I finally presented Dr. Ming with the copy. I said, this would be very helpful for Americans like me who understand the value of the wisdom of the East, but may not have accessibility to it. So that's the reason I wanted to do it. And I didn't realize it was going to become a webinar, but I'm very happy that it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Robbie. As you see in the introduction that he wrote here in bold, living in tune with the truth of who people are and how the world works can save you untold trouble. Living out of tune with those truths can feel as frustrating as trying to cut a steak with a spoon. So basically, we are looking at some of the things that we should be doing in a more reasonable, logical way, rather than intuitive, reflexive way. So once again, every third Wednesday of every month, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And on the left-hand side, once again, you email me your mailing address. I will send you a little booklet as a little present. Now, one of the key questions that people ask all the time is it worth my time to study the Shi Ban Gong Bei, the East and West Pearl? So once again, if you're interested in the book, you can just email me your mailing address. How much can I truly improve my efficiency by using Shi Ban Gong Bei pearls? My answer will shock you. It will be up to 1,000%. It's interesting. All my life, I've been asked this question the most often. That is, my friends always ask, Ming, how many hours in a day do you have? Do you have like 48 hours or something? My answer always surprised them. I said, sometimes I feel like I have 72 or 96 hours. And they say, how come? And today is the pearls, the secret, how I expend the time, almost like Einstein, relativity. I find that if we master certain pearls, we can literally expand our time so that we feel like we have 72 to 96 hours in a day. Wait, how can we truly improve 10 times? That's way too much, isn't it? Well, it's really not my idea. I'm not the smartest man, but I'm one of the most diligent students. So I'm always reading and learning. Some time ago, I read a giant, Jonathan Haidt, New York Times bestseller, his seminal work called The Righteous Mind. He said that human beings are 90% emotional and only 10% logical. Not only Jonathan Haidt has this viewpoint, but also Thomas Jefferson. I read some of his writings, over 200 years ago. So is Ray Dalio, who is another New York Times bestseller, who wrote the book The Principles, who is a billionaire, the most successful bond trader in the world. All three of them said the same thing. We are 90% emotional, only 10% logical. However, if human beings are indeed mostly irrational, emotional, therefore inefficient, but if such an irrationality is random, then scientifically we could not possibly find a systematic solution to it, right? Well, here comes another giant. His name is Dan Ariely. He wrote another New York Times bestseller called Predictably Irrational. He's saying that he agreed with Jonathan Haidt, Thomas Jefferson, and Ray Dalio that we are 90% irrational. But Dan Ariely, a Duke professor, said that we are actually predictably irrational, and he proved that by many, many scientific research. So standing on the shoulder of these giants, Jonathan Haidt, Thomas Jefferson, and Ray Dalio, and Dan Ariely, standing on the shoulder of these giants, that's how I published my little booklet. Basically, if we are irrational, therefore inefficient, but we are systematically irrational, meaning predictable, then it is now possible to devise systematic solutions to address our systematic, predictable irrationality. But since we are 90% irrational, most of us, only 10% logical, by changing the 90% of us, each of us, the irrational part, into a more logical, sensible part, that's why such an effort can in fact improve your efficiency by up to 1,000% or 10 times. In the Shi Ban Gong Bei book, by observing, I've been a keen observer of human behavior for the last 40, 50 years, ever since my college years, during Cultural Revolution, as many of you in my story a little bit, that I was not allowed to go to school. But eventually I got into University of Science and Technology in China, and I realized that I'm definitely not the smartest. I'm medium high, but there are many, many smarter kids. So I start observing them. Then I got a chance to finish my training, start working, and I have in my lifetime probably have the opportunity of getting to know pretty closely a dozen or more billionaires. So I began to observe them. How can they do things a lot more successful than average people? And in comparison, I compare with my own behavior. I often find it to be irrational and inefficient. So in the last few decades, I have identified through such an intentional effort to identify 77 human nature-driven irrational behaviors. Standing on the shoulder of giants of these authors, I realized these are irrational, but also predictably irrational. So therefore, we can apply systematic logical solutions to our predictable or systematic irrationality. And that is the base of Shi Ban Gong Bei book. That is single out the things we normally do, but we never think about them being irrational, does not make sense. We just keep on doing it. Recognize these under-recognized irrationalities or inefficiencies, and therefore applying systematic logic solution to them. And if you truly follow the system of Shi Ban Gong Bei, then you're going to, at least mathematically, will tell you that you can improve your efficiency, not just double it, triple it, quadruple it, up to 10 times more efficient. And before that, I just want to, for those of you who are not as familiar with me, I will just very quickly run through my story. I grew up during Cultural Revolution, China. In 1974, I was 14. I was thrown out of school. I was not allowed to go to school anymore because government was shutting down all university and college for entire China for 10 years and forcefully sent away 20 million youth to countryside for hard labor and poverty for life. So I had to play a Chinese violin instrument, learning dancing to avoid labor camp. That didn't work, but I was lucky. 1976 Cultural Revolution ended. I had a few months. I had to quickly get back to school and jumping ahead and compete against other 12th graders for that very small chance getting into college. In the film side, you saw that my parents helped me great deal. 1978, I got into University of Science and Technology of China. In 1982, I came to America and I went to University of Maryland, got a PhD degree in laser physics, and also then want to apply for med school. I was discriminated against. Fortunately, I did not listen to that discrimination. I worked even harder. And after a postdoc at MIT, I was enrolled at Harvard Medical School MIT Joint Program, MD, 1991. I graduated and I invited my parents over and I was very appreciative how they raised me. So the film site was dedicated to my parents. The reason I got 2 doctorate degrees is medicine is so technologically driven, so medical degree is not enough. So I'm now currently one of the few eye surgeons in the world who not only have an MD, but also a PhD in laser physics. I perform over 55,000 laser vision corrections, including on over 4,000 doctors. This is my MIT Harvard joint diploma. The Chinese violin I learned during Cultural Revolution now became a hobby. I use it to really connect East and West to showcase to the West what East has to offer. And in the process, in the film side, you see that I've been devoting myself for many decades trying to figure out how to conquer the corneal blindness due to trauma, infection, and malnutrition, a leading cause of blindness on the worldwide scale. And this is Kajol's eyes in the film side. She was intentionally blinded by her own stepmother who poured sulfuric acid into her eyes in an attempt to make her a blind child singer who could then get more money from tourists. And the movie side is about Kajol's remarkable journey in trying to come from darkness to light. And we know the fetus does not scar, but how can we do research on fetus without hurting a baby? Do science and faith have common ground? And I built a nonprofit organization to study common ground and learning from, I'm a Christian, learning from Jesus Christ's teaching, common ground seeking, there's a methodology, STEPS, you got to see, you got to be willing to trade places, you got to demonstrate empathy, persevere, and you have to put into action. And even publish a common ground Bible study. And applying to the principle in the practice of research, trying to figure out how we can learn the fetal scarless healing to benefit our patient, but at the same time without hurting the baby. And through much praying, and we recognized that we can use the piece of tissue placenta, and I got placenta is donated anyway. There's a way to conducting research without hurting a baby. And the long story short, eventually I developed the amniotic membrane contact lens. When it's put over an injured eye, indeed, it can reduce scar and let the patient's eye acquire the scarless healing ability as just like an unborn child, but a way to do such research without hurting the baby. This is my patent on amniotic membrane contact lens. Then I decided to donate the patent to the world, and I went around the world over 20 years, taught over 10,000 eye doctors in over 55 some countries how to use this technology. Today, amniotic membrane contact lens is a $5 billion industry, and people from all over the world have been benefited, and the side movie is about that. Corneal injury, dry eye is one of the chronic problems. Now, the older we get, the drier we get. And this is a patient, 70-some years old. We use the amniotic contact lens and enable her to basically rejuvenate her eyes and able to cure some of the aging damages. So amniotic membrane content show that science and faith can work together, and this technology has transformed the world today. Even though I myself did not make any money in the whole process, but I'm happy that I have opportunity to do something useful. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, and we have some of the best technologies. And because of my dual training in physics and medicine, this is my paper in the journal Nature. And I used to serve on US FDA ophthalmic device panel, and we're doing surgeon training on worldwide scale. Today, we have conquered all 5 human prescription eye conditions: myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, and cataract. Through these top 4 technologies, you can take a picture of that. I will not go into detail. Basically, every Tuesday we have a Zoom. Lower left corner is my email address. On the left side, we have Smile. We basically, the LASIK surgery is going out of date. LASIK surgery is going out of date. We have a newer technology, Smile, that is better than LASIK. Lower left corner, if you wear contact lenses, I have a technology to put the contact lens inside the eye, so you never need to remove it. In the middle, for those over age 45, we have a technology to correct not only distance vision, but also get rid of your reading glasses as well. In one surgery for every young lens in the middle, we can take care of all 5 human eye conditions: myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, and even cataract. On the right, cataract surgery can be done with laser or blade, but in the United States today, only 5% of cataract surgeries are performed with laser. 95% are still by blade because of the training that these doctors technologically takes a while. And that's why I published these textbooks, to trying to help surgeons who are strong in medicine but not as strong in technology, to improve technology aspect so that we all can offer the best to our patients. Living in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, I have my share of, celebrity patients such as Dolly Parton and others. I have not forgotten I came from China. I've been back China frequently before pandemic and taught pro bono Chinese ophthalmologists how to improve their care. Performed China's first all-laser LASIK. Now in Nashville, Tennessee, are patients from all over the United States and all over the world. And the reason I built the foundation is to help those who need the most help. Kajal, you see this is real Kajal as you see in the film. The dancing I learned during Cultural Revolution now has become a hobby and also help medical charity called the Eyeball. As Chinese Americans, we need to contribute to mainstream society. I established Tennessee Immigrant Minority Business Group, Latino American, Asian Americans, and African Americans. As a Christian, I give a Sunday testimonial all the time, and about my favorite topic, faith and science. God wants them to work together. As Chinese American, we need to stand up for our rights. This Nashvillian of the Year award honor, and I teach in the local Christian university about faith and science. So purpose-driven life, science is tools, faith is the goal, the purpose. Any of you are interested in the book, you can visit wangfoundation.com, and $25 contribution will be happy to mail a book to you, and all proceeds goes to the foundation. So I'm going to conclude this introduction part just with a 2 minutes trailer of the movie Sight, which won the ICVM International Christian Film Major Award. So you can tune up your computer sound a little bit. Here we go, the 2-minute trailer, Sight.
I'm going to help you see again.
You said it was impossible.
Ah, there he is, the good doctor.
You're going to be on the cover of the Tennessee Herald tomorrow morning. You may get a date out of this.
Not with that picture.
Very funny.
Our pro bono office got a call from India. A little girl, 6 years old.
Apparently, street beggars make more money if they're legitimately blind. So the stepmother poured sulfuric acid in each of her eyes.
I'm going to help you see again, Kajal.
Is it true that multiple doctors declared your patient irreversibly blind?
Yes, I developed this new breakthrough technology. Here we go. Do you see the light?
No. I can't see anything.
I have this patient from India. She reminds me of some things in the past that I can't get over.
The present is made possible by the past.
A long time ago back in China, there was an uprising in my hometown. Many bad things happened.
So we came to America.
Yes.
It's hard getting into medical school, but you coming from China, don't waste your time.
You cannot change the past, Ming.
I feel like I'm stuck.
Hello, Doctor. This is Maria.
We want to give her a chance to see again.
I don't even know if I can perform surgery anymore. I left you.
Stop it. You need to just let go.
I just don't want Maria to end up like a job.
Can only do our best. I'm with you, Ming. We can do this.
I refuse to believe there is no purpose.
I will be praying for you.
The job is teaching me that there's more to life than what you see. We have to keep going.
Thought you said it was impossible.
Can you see yourself, Maria?
I'm so pretty.
After 10 years of making the movie, it was rejected by all top 10 Hollywood film distributors, both digital and theatrical, citing that they are not an interesting Christian film to begin with, but also as a Chinese-American film, it needs to have Kung Fu or ancient dynasty. Otherwise, America would not want to see such a film. So it looks like the film will be buried, just like all other attempts by first-generation Chinese Americans in the past many decades to tell our stories. So I decided to take this matter into my own hands and brought the film around the country throughout the United States, an unprecedented film tour by a subject of film unprecedented in US history. Over 365 days, I brought film to 40 states, 500 free shows, 50,000 audience, and telling our stories as Asian Americans as immigrants, but also telling Jesus stories because Jesus is really the first physician who restored eyesight. So in February 2024, NG Studio took over, decided to step up, become the 11th company, which is the first company to agree to distribute the film. Film is for our next generation and inspire them. So again, if you're interested in Shi Ban Gong Bei book, email me your mailing address. So now, I'm going to go over very quickly the first 20 pearls that we have gone through before, without telling the stories. Then starting about 21st pearls, I'm going to slow down and start telling stories behind each pearl. Pearl 1. In partnership, the person is more important than the project. In partnership, who your partner is more important than what you'll be doing together. Examine the character of a potential partner before entering into a business relationship with him or her. With the right partner, you may be able to do the right thing, but with the wrong partner, you can never be able to do the right thing. Pearl 2. However, in other circumstances, people is more important than the project. In solving a problem in a business, the matter now is the other one, matter is now more important than the person. When addressing a problem, you should not focus on the personal attributes of the individual who made the mistake. If you do, you will place the focus on the person, him or herself, which may then incite his or her ego and create an emotional barrier that could cause him or her to never be able to see the issue itself. Therefore, you should focus on the issue instead of the person. The goal is to solve the problem and improve the system, not to blame on any particular person. So you see, Pearl 1 and Pearl 2 are opposite. Pearl 1 said people is more important. Pearl 2 said matter is more important. Pearl 3, life is a two-way street. If you need someone to assist you with your project, you first need to do everything possible you can yourself to help that person with his or her project. Then he or she will be more willing or inclined to help you with yours. A person who always wants to just take but would not want to give will never be successful. Pro 4, make it easy for others to help you. If you need help with your project, you need to first accomplish as much as you can yourself. Don't be lazy. If the person from whom you need help sees that you truly care about your own project and that you have already done as much as you can yourself before you ask for help, he or she will then be more willing to help you. Furthermore, the more you have done yourself for your own project prior to asking for help, the lesser he or she will have to do. Therefore, the easier it will be for him or her to do it, to help you. Pro 5, why am I here today? Whatever you're doing, always be willing to step back for a moment. Look at the whole situation and ask yourself this key question. Ultimately, what is the real reason or purpose of me being here today? You'll be surprised. Very often we forget what's the real reason. Pro 6, identify the number one task. When faced with many challenges, rank them in order of importance, so you can then devote most of your attention to the number one task. The ability to rank lies at the core of human experience. The older we get, the better we are at ranking, prioritizing. Pro number 7, apply logic to everything you do. Apply logic to everything you do, whether it's big or small, and always ask yourself this question. Does it actually make logical sense the way we do it? And how can I more logically solve this problem? You'll be surprised when you armed with this pro, you will recognize so many things you do some on daily basis actually does not make logical sense. Pro number 8, check things orthogonally. When you check something for accuracy, try not to use the same method that you used to obtain the initial result to begin with. Because if there was an error with their method, you will likely make the same mistake again. You're much more likely to catch an error if you use a completely different and unrelated, i.e. orthogonal in logic, method the second time to check. And this is the basis of the 2x2 or 4x4 spreadsheet for CPA, as you know. Pro 9, focus on content before form. Content is more important than form, and the substance is more important than formality. Again, these pros are not rocket science. We actually know all of them. Most of us know all of these 77 pros. Then you say, Ming, what's the point of studying this little booklet? My answer is this. Even though we do know most of these pros, we hardly practice them. For example, we are very emotionally inclined to pay attention to the form and forget about the substance inside. That's a human nature, human tendency. It's interesting to speculate why is that the case. Presumably in the ancient time in jungles, when the tiger running towards you, it's more important to recognize the form quickly, how big the tiger is, how long do you have time to escape. So because of survival, we end up developing a preference for forms. But very often, focusing on forms is inefficient. So every single one of these 77 pros is fighting our human natural tendency. Our human natural tendency has always been developed based on survival, but they are not the most efficient. That's my point. So by recognizing that and be deliberate about it and devise logical, rational solutions to our predictable irrationalities, that's how you can tremendously enhance your efficiency. That's the essence of the idea of Shi Ban Gong Bei. 10, focus only on what you do and the things you can control. Don't worry about what others do. Focus only on what you yourself do. Do not waste any time on things that are not under your control. Focus only on things you can do and can change. Again, you may say, Ming, I know that. But my point is that we don't practice that, including me. Our human natural tendency is blame on everyone else. In Chinese, there's a saying, it's 对人马列主义，对自己自由主义. We always apply higher standard of behavior to others and give ourselves a slack. That's a human nature. That's the way we naturally behave. But that's not the smartest, and that's not the most efficient. We often worry about things we have no control, because then if it doesn't happen, we are not to be blamed. So Pro 10 is saying, let's recognize that inefficient human natural behavior and try to not worry about anything that you don't have control. Again, it's against human nature. Human nature wants to worry about things we don't have control. Why? Why human nature is so stupid? Worry about things we don't have control? It's because we don't want to take responsibility. So when things didn't happen, say, well, it's not under my control to begin with. It's Johnny's fault, it's Nancy's fault. It's survival. That's fight that instinct, because that survival instinct is not the most efficient. Once again, if you want the book, email me and I'll be happy to mail the book to you. On average day, ladies and gentlemen, I use about 5 to 10 pearls out of the 77 on average day. So I use it every day. It's tremendously helping me. These pearls are not just from myself, from many of the folks that I work with or study with, smarter kids and more successful people in life, how they do things. 11, learn from others' mistakes. Learn from the mistakes of others. So hopefully you won't have to make the same mistakes yourself. We all have to experience that. For some reason, we have to make the same mistake. We don't listen to our parents. But that's human nature. Once again, if you can do this Pearl 11, we can save ourselves so much trouble. Pearl 12, stay focused on the point. Do not be distracted by examples that people use. Always keep your focus on the issue itself. I will challenge you, starting tomorrow at your workplace, try it. You will notice how many people keep on talking about examples. They got distracted by the example you use. And you have to say, no, Johnny, that's not, don't distract by my example. My essence, I'm talking about this point. Don't be distracted by an example. But people do that all the time. 13, try not to change someone else. Adapt and change yourself. This comes from Dale Carnegie, how to influence people and making friends. You cannot change another person anyway, but you can change yourself. Your ideal work partner should be someone who at the onset already possesses the many attributes that will enable you two to work together. If adjustments then needed after you begin the relationship, then just adapt and change yourself. Give up. Just don't bother to change someone else. It's not possible. Pro 14, success is measured by effort, not by result. This pro has dramatically improved the quality of my life. It says that success is not defined by how much we have accomplished, but by whether or not we have made our best effort. If you've done your best in everything you've done, then you're successful. This represented a dramatic change for me once I understood this particular pro. Because I realized that all of us have things that not under our control. If our mood is affected by the outcome, then 50% of the time we're depressed. So in order to be happy, I want to be happy too, just like you want to be. I dramatically changed the definition of happiness from objective outcome to my own subjective effort. This works beautifully. That's why even though I fail lots of times, but I'm always happy because I'm just looking back, see whether I've done my best. If I have, I'm happy. I do not measure my success by outcome. 15, people will do what others have done in a similar situation. If you want someone to do something, first try to identify and then convey to him or her what others in a similar situation have done previously. Since people generally feel more comfortable doing something which had been done by others who have been in their shoes. This is the sheep mentality, 羊群心理. This is amazing that I've seen some very successful people doing that. One in particular, one billionaire, being very successful in his business, and this is his trick. When he wants me to make a decision, he always trying to figure out who else in my shoes have already made the decision that he would like me to make. Then he approached me with that example. Every time I end up making a decision, but feeling like I'm not making any decision at all. I'm not taking the risk or responsibility to make any decision at all because someone else has made that decision in my shoes. You see how smart that is? Amazing. 16. Can I do this a little bit better? Whatever you are part of, whether it's a process or a product, always be willing to ask yourself this question. Can I do this a bit better? And I said last time that I have this classmate who is superb, so smart. And I keep on observing him and I realize that's what he did. Whatever we are doing, he always end up thinking extra 1%, doing 1% better than most of us. And then over time that accumulates, he ended up to be a billionaire. Once again, if anyone interested in the book, you can email me your mailing address. 17, help others to recall the issue first. When you follow up with someone on an issue, remember that although you are fully aware of it, because it is your issue, he or she may not be. So first try to help the person recall what it's all about. So he or she wouldn't have to spend extra time, him or herself, figuring that out. If the individual has to do that, he or she may very well end up not doing the things you want him or her to do because it just seemed like too much work, too much trouble. And it's not even his or her own project to begin with. I cannot tell you how much I benefit from this pro. We often forget it. We often ask someone, hey, Johnny, help me do this. Johnny feel like, how come, Ming, you didn't even do anything yourself, so lazy? I didn't even realize. By my body language, I didn't do any of the things myself first before I asked Johnny to help, literally make Johnny less motivated to help me. 18. Always be prepared with a backup plan. Whatever you do, go into it fully prepared with at least a plan B, sometimes even with plan C. When something unexpected happens and you're not already prepared with an alternative plan, going back to the drawing board is a total waste of time. I often get asked questions to me that, what's your secret doing these eye surgeries successfully? My little secret is this particular pearl. Most of the doctors go into the operating room with one lens. Occasionally they will walk in with a B plan. Ever since the beginning, I learned this pearl from someone who is a lot smarter than me. Ever since in the beginning of my career, I work in the operating room, not just B plan, not just C plan, also a lens for the D plan. So I literally never in my career, I've been doing operation for over 30 years. I never had to walk out the operating room to get another lens because my ABCD plan cover all possibilities. 19, improve the system itself. When solving a problem, don't be satisfied with only solving the problem itself. Instead, try to examine the system from which the problem arose in the first place and find a way to improve the underlying system itself. We make these mistakes, including myself, all the time. We often just look at the problem and trying to solve the problem without asking ourselves the question why this problem arose to begin with. Pro 20, identify the real intention of a person. The real intention of a drunkard is not necessarily in the wine. That's the Chinese saying, right? 醉翁之意不在酒. Someone may appear to be wanting something, but he or she may actually really want something else. Why this pro is important? Because if you don't even know what the person really wants, you're not going to be efficient. You're going to just going around. Eventually the person says, that's not really what I want. So we covered 20 pros. These are the pros we covered before. Today we're going to march on to 5, 6 new pros and accompanied by stories. 21, listen and then speak. Listen first. Let people finish what they're saying, then speak. If you wait, you will avoid speaking prematurely. I cannot tell you how many times I made that mistake. The people start talking and I interject and I say da 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 da, and they say no, that's not what I want. Then I end up wasting my time. It is very important to really be patient and really let the person finish speaking. Again, Shi Ban Gong Bei principle, it is our human nature not to be patient. Human nature is that we don't let people finish, we jump right in. Now we end up to be inefficient as a result. Why? Because I jump in too early. Half the things I just said is totally waste of time because that's not what he or she meant. You see how it is? A beautiful example. We follow our intuition and natural behavior, the 90% irrational part of ourselves. We end up to be not only irrational, but also inefficient because we waste the time. You see? Powerful example to demonstrate. Now, everybody knows this pro. Again, my point is that we don't practice it. If you practice it, you will tremendously improve your efficiency. 22. Among life's uncertainties, identify the few things that are indeed certain. When faced with many uncertainties, identify among them the few things that are indeed certain and then hang your hat on it. And last time I actually explained a little bit this pro, I learned from a very, very brilliant world-class professor in my residency. He always got the answer correct. Finally, I pulled him aside. I said, Dr. Savino, what's your pro? How come you get things right all the time while we're still arguing possibly this, possibly that? He said, well, Ming, nobody asked me this question before, but since you asked, I will share with you my little pro. He said the human nature is to swim among uncertainties. But I understand that human nature, I recognize that, so I intentionally change myself. When I walk in a room, you guys are all arguing, could be this, A, could be C, could be D, 20 different possibilities. You guys just following human nature, swim among uncertainties. But I intentionally don't do that. I do not follow my own human nature. I intentionally look at the 20 things you're talking about, all uncertain. Is there anything certain? Even if there's only 1 or 2 certainties among the 20 uncertainties, I just hang my head on that 1 or 2 certainties. I have tremendously benefited from this. Saved me so much time. because I recognize that human nature is swim around uncertainties. So we need to overcome that human nature. We need to walk into the situation and be intentional, be deliberate, recognizing our human natural tendency is to swim among uncertainties, overcome that, and focus only on things, albeit few, certainties. I want to leave this pro today with one question to all of you. Why do we behave that way naturally? Why we as human beings naturally like to swim among uncertainties? That appears to be stupid, right? Inefficient and stupid. But why we behave that way naturally? Okay, so that's my question to you. You think about it. You need to recognize why, and then you can develop the countermeasure. 23, at least try. If you don't even try, you have zero chance to succeed. But if you try, even when you only have 1% chance, it is still much better than 0% chance. I have benefited so much from this. I learned this from a very smart fellow student at Harvard. And he's always could do a little better than me. And I keep on observing and realize that he's much more bolder and willing to try. And I was a lot more timid. And I realized that if I don't try, I have zero chance of success. But if he try even 1%, he's better than me. So I learned this from the smarter kid. Number 24, 3 criteria to determine if you do need to solve a problem. Does the problem indeed exist? Second, is it actually a big problem that actually warrant the effort to solve it? Number 3, will solving it really matter? It's interesting, as human beings, that when we face a problem, we don't think about these criteria. We just solving it, halfway through, we find we're wasting our time. Because we didn't even examine the first criteria. Does the problem really exist? But even if we sometimes realize the first criteria, we forget the second criteria. Is it actually big enough problem that really warrants effort to solve it? Because even the problem does exist, even if it's a big problem, but it's not worth solving it, why bother solving it? And number 3, it's even more interesting. Even if it's a big problem existing, even if it's a big problem that warrants solving it, that we should spend time. Does solving it really matter in our lives? Very often you find it doesn't matter. So when you subject any problem you're facing with these 3 criteria, all of a sudden, you find yourself to be a lot more efficient because you actually did not even need to embark in solving many of the problems to begin with. On what does human happiness depend? It is not how much you have. It's not even how much you want. That determines your happiness in life. Human happiness depends on the distance between how much you have and how much you want. The smaller the distance, the happier you are. I recently have another striking experience learning this pro once again. With my wife, we were taking care of her father, my father-in-law, for 5 years, who has dementia. For the entire 5 years they are living with us, we're taking care of him, and I was taking pity on him because he's demented. He does not remember anything. He does not want anything. Every day he gets up, eat, and just sit there. And I said, "Oh, Daddy, you are so miserable. We're all having fun going around, going out shopping, going dancing, singing songs, but you're sitting there, doing nothing. What a poor quality of life." I was absolutely wrong. Because he actually, in the last 5 years, we've been taking care of him, worry about him, We are actually the unhappy ones. He's the happiest because he does not want much. So the distance between what he wants and what he has is nearly zero. He actually has been, in the last 5 years, the happiest among us all. Think about it. 26. Restate the question, please. Before you hurry to answer the question, sometimes it's helpful to ask this question. Could you please restate the question again? Clarifying what actually has been asked of you is often half the battle. I really find this to be really helpful to me. But sometimes when people ask a question, I would jump into my impression, and then my impression of what his or her question is often wrong. So I learned this pro. Sometimes I just ask them to repeat. I say, oh, you mean, Johnny, can you repeat again? By asking him or her to clarify the question, all of a sudden, I find we're halfway there. It's very interesting. Human nature, we don't do that. Based on our human natural behavior, we do not ask people to repeat. We jump right in. So becoming inefficient because very often we're wrong. That's not what they're asking. So once again, let me ask you a question. Why we behave that way? Why are we jumping too early? Human nature. 27. The goal of life. The goal of life is not about seeing how much we can accomplish, but rather if we are happy during that journey. Life is not about the feeling that we have arrived at wherever. Life is about enjoying the process of trying to get there. And I'm still working on this pearl myself. Very often, I try to get somewhere, and I forget to enjoy the joy along the way. And I watched many very successful people, and I realized that that's how they define their life's happiness, is by the feeling during the journey. Because we naturally don't do that. We naturally want to get there, and we ignore the feeling during the journey. So I've been very intentional trying to accomplish that, focus instead on the feeling in the journey, and I found myself to be a lot more efficient now. 28. You can actually change the reality around you. The traditional wisdom is that you cannot really change your surroundings and the reality around you. This traditional wisdom is actually wrong. In fact, you can. You can, if you are always positive, always choosing to do something rather than not trying it at all, always deciding to look at the glass as half full rather than half empty, then eventually you'll find that people around you have all somehow magically changed. And they are now all happy. How did you change your surrounding like that? Well, that's because you have caused it to change. You have caused your surrounding to change. Because you have chosen to be positive. And the birds of the similar feather flocks together, right? You know that. 物以类聚，类聚. So you have chosen to be positive. So you have actually the one who have created a similar happy environmental reality around you, and people of the similar predisposition will tend to hang out with you. So you can actually change if you so choose to. You can actually change your surroundings by intentionally changing yourself. Do everything a little bit better, which we mentioned before, the 1%. Contrary to popular belief, people who are successful in life often do not, actually what I find is do not have incredible, earth-shattering, unique skills or secrets that others don't have. They're just like you and me. They're normal people. You know, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk are just normal people. But how can they be more successful? Is they're just a little bit more diligent, a little bit more alert, a little bit more always watching everything they do, and trying to find opportunity to maximize a little bit the effort so they can do a little bit better. They just do 1% better. But cumulatively, over 5 years, 10 years, they end up to be able to do cumulatively much better than most of us. 一个成功人不是有3头6臂. It's not like they have extra arms, legs. It's because everything they do, they ask themselves, can I do this a little bit better than others? 30. 90% of what we think is happening 90% of what we think is happening to us is actually our reaction to it. So of all the things we think that are happening to us, only 10% is indeed the things that are actually happening to us, that we have no control. But 90% is actually our reaction to it, which we do have control. So if we can modify and improve our subjective reaction to an objective event, we can in fact overcome and control 90% what we believe are objective things that happen to us. You know, this is actually the Stoicism, as you know, that Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, is advocating Stoicism. It's basically, we recognize that our human subjective, the 90% emotional behavior, is overpowering. We don't even recognize that. We don't even recognize that. Something happened to us, oh, so bad, so bad. Really, what's so bad? Only 10% is so bad. The 90% is our negative reaction to it. Why it's important to divide is because our reaction to it can actually have control. Okay, so things may appear to be too bad, but we need to recognize actually the majority of it, the 90% of that so bad things, is actually our reaction, not subject. It's not objective occurrence, but our subjective reaction, which we do have control. So if we practice Stoicism, we moderate and control what we can control, the 90%, we can actually minimize 90% the negative things happen in our lives. You see, that's a beautiful example of our native reaction is irrational, inefficient, is emotional. We need to recognize that. If we recognize that, we intentionally tone down our reaction, we end up having a lot happier life. Here's another question again. Why do you think we behave that way? Why do you think we naturally amplify, unfairly, if you will, the negative events? It's not really that bad, but we make it 10 times worse emotionally. The reason we do that naturally is because human beings, we need to exaggerate the crisis so that our muscle can get action, you know, our blood can flow faster, our adrenaline can flow, we can escape the tiger. So our reaction is always worse than reality, because to survive, we have to do that. You see, every single one of the 77 pearls, Shi Ban Gong Bei pearls, has to do with a human behavior that is irrational, emotional, reflexive, and therefore is inefficient. By being intentional, trying to change the 90% irrational, inefficient part of ourselves, become rational, logical, we can improve our efficiency by up to 10 times or 1,000%. You can make your everyday not just 24 hours, but 48 hours, 72 hours, 96 hours. So today we covered these 10 new pearls. We're on 30 now. There are 77 of them. Every one I'm going through that in future Zooms will always be like this. I'll tell you the stories, from whom I learned that, and what is that. So in summary, next one is March 19th. And if you're interested in the book, and then you can, just email me your mailing address. And again, it's 77 behaviors because we are mostly irrational. Jonathan Haidt said 90% irrational, but then Ailian says predictably irrational. That's why, standing on the shoulder of giant, I have devised this little system that since our irrationality or inefficiency is predictable, then give us a chance to offer systematic solution to our predictable inefficiencies. Since 90% of us is irrational, and if we convert 90% all into logical, we may not be able to do that, but whatever part we can convert, we can improve our efficiency by up to 1,000%. I feel like often I have 24, 48, 96 hours, indeed, because I deliberately recognize my own natural weakness and do something about it. None of the pros is earth-shattering. None of the 70 pros you have not heard about it. But the thing is, all of those pros, we normally do not practice it. 77 behaviors. And again, if you're interested in the book, you can visit our foundation, $25. By hit the donating button, we'll mail the book. All the proceeds will go to the foundation to help more blind orphan children. And again, there's a free link to the movie site, and you can take a picture of the screen here, and you can watch this film. The more you watch the film, the more help and our foundation will get, because our goal of having this film is to disseminate the information that there's a foundation that existing, helping those blind orphan children, but also the foundation is armed with this technology and amniotic membrane contact lens, which can help those who need the most help. So by watching the film, you're literally helping our foundation, spreading the word about the organization, our charity causes, so that we can help more blind orphan children as such. So that's the end of this talk today. We're going to go into Q&A, but what I suggest, Dr. Chen and Lin Hui, let's do this way. I'm going to ask everybody for our fun, 大家录个面, open your camera so that we can take a picture. So that, because many of you, I communicate with you on email and WeChat. Actually, I don't know how you look alike. So this is for my own self. And you all can, Lin Hui, Dr. Chen, if you can send a picture to everyone. So 大家把照片打开，因为平时吧，我跟很多朋友联系，我们从来见不到面啊，所以我想今天机会很好，大家拍张照，然后陈医师和林慧会把这个照片给大家送来，所以你也可以自己存嘛，就作为自己的存，这一帮朋友都希望提高我们的工作效率。It's a group of friends. We all want to improve the way we do things, right? Shi Ban Gong Bei. So here we go. Okay, 3 more counts. Anybody want to get the camera? Go ahead and open. So I'm going to take a picture now. And everybody raise the thumb. Take another picture. Raise thumb. Okay. Raise the thumb. Okay. Thank you. So you can open your mic. You can keep the camera on if you want to. Ask any question you want to. And English or Chinese, either way. But since Robbie Grayson's Mandarin is a little rusty, we need to probably keep in English. So is Harold, I presume. So any question? On the chat room, by the way, I have my blog. Yeah.
I posted a question.
Okay, yes.
I think for one of the pro you were talking about. If I can't change other people, should I just ignore this person, or should I change myself to adapt to this person?
Great question. Great question. We all have this frustrating experience not being able to change others, right? So Lin Hui's question is, do I just forget it, walk away? Do I try to change myself? Because we know we cannot change that person. And this is a great question, because the answer is often not clear. It's not about that person. That person is a lost cause. it's about us, meaning how important that person is to me. I need to figure out. So the question becomes, it's not about him or her anymore because he or she's a lost cause, right? You're not going to change that person. So sometimes it's not that easy to figure out if that person is important to me or not. So what I do is I have a 50% point. I said, okay, this person, Johnny, is lousy. He doesn't follow up. He doesn't do what he promised to do, right? I'm not going to be able to change him. So I'm asking, is he better than 50% of friends I have? Or could I live my life without him? If I can, I walk away. Life is too short to bother to be frustrated all the time with someone who doesn't do what they promised to do. But if he's someone I cannot live without, like my brother, so I'm stuck. Or your spouse, you're often stuck with your spouse, right? So like, then you have to change yourself. In a spouse situation, we often want our spouse to change. I have come to realize I cannot ask my wife to change. She never will. I just change myself. I just, okay, this is an area I'm not going to say anything because it's going to be totally useless. I'm not going to say it. Let it be. And if that makes her happy, so be it. It does not make me happy, but what matters is what makes her happy because that's what she does. So I hope she will let me do what I want to do because that makes me happy. So to answer your question, Ling Hui, excellent question. At the end of the day, it's not about that person. It's about ourselves as ourselves questions that, can I live without that person? If I can, walk away. If I cannot, change yourself.
So it depends on how important is
Right.
that
Right.
person to me.
Yes. It's a self-examination question. It's because human nature is not that. Human nature say, oh, Ling Hui, that's a good question. Let me try to change Zhang San. I'm going to do a little harder to change. No. Dale Carnegie already said a long time ago, forget it. If you want to be happy, assuming you want to be happy, we all do, don't even go there. 江山易改，本性难移. People are not going to change. I'm not going to change either, but at least I know what I need to do. I'll try.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Any other question?
I have a question
Sure.
about your title of your book. Is there no like such English words? That's why you use Chinese pinyin as the title of the book. My thinking is it's not gonna reach like Westerners because they don't have a clue what the title is about.
You are absolutely right, Wei. And Robbie Grayson, the publisher, is encountering exactly this problem. Even though he appreciates Asian, Eastern, West interaction, but he's not typical. He is an African-American, he married a white lady, and they went to China multiple times. So it's very atypical. Most Americans, only care about local sport team, not US national team, for example. So I named this because, first of all, why I named Shi Ban Gong Bei is because my inquisitive approach to human nature and fighting against human nature, actually this inspiration came from the East. Eastern philosophy, Eastern way of life has given me this inquisitiveness. And it's the Western practicality that encouraged me to actually do something about it. So Eastern gave me the idea, the Western gave me the approach. That's why I have this, 77 pros accumulated. So I use this name, Shi Ban Gong Bei, to credit East. And also it literally says doing double the amount, accomplished double in half the time, which is exactly what I'm about when I'm going after, efficiency. But you're right, Robbie Grayson is a publisher has the problem. This book does not gain traction. Americans have no clue what Chinese is. In fact, the opposite is true. That the rest of the world knows so much about America. America knows hardly anything about any other country. And it's an impending crisis for us as a nation because the center of gravity of worldwide innovation and the economy is shifting, going outside the United States. Unless we change as Americans, begin to be more curious and learning from others, America will fall behind. So I'm hoping I don't have to change the title. I want Americans to change their behavior as such. Learn, Shi Ban Gong.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody? Any other pros? Or you can ask any question about vision eye is fine, but anything you want to ask. I think the Shi Ban Gong Bei Pro is that if you start practicing, none of these are earth-shattering. Okay, it's not rocket science, but you realize you don't practice. Yes.
Dr. Wang, how is the weather at Nashville?
Weather it's big snow today, and I think we are experiencing much of the East Coast, Northeast misery now, and because of the lack of buffering, right, of the atmospheric layer due to global warming as such.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting worse. And we, our country, our world is so divided. We don't want to solve problem anymore. We just want to argue for power and control. That's another human behavior. That's irrational, emotional, illogical, and it's not only inefficient, but it's actually deleterious. The polarization. That's another example. Well, logically, rationally, we should think about, in order to coexist peacefully, in order not to kill each other, we have to overcome our polarization to find a common ground. So to find a common ground in a polarized world is a Shi Ban Gong Bei behavior, but most of us do not practice that. So we need to travel the road less traveled, recognizing the deleterious effect of human nature and travel the road less traveled, go the other way. Any other questions? Dr. Chen, that you have been involved in taking care of this group of people. Really appreciate your effort. Dr. Chen, what kind of feedback have you been getting, or do people like these pros, and have they been trying to use it? I mean, it's very helpful to me. I use 5 to 10 pros every day. What do you think about the movement, Shi Ban Gong Bei movement that you have helped created right now? How many people on your list, people express interest, Dr. Chen, they're interested?
Almost 1,000.
1,000?
Yes.
Wow, lots of people. Yeah, so I think people do recognize the need to do better. And we have a very short lifespan, right? Only few decades on this planet. And to be more efficient does make sense. Yeah, I'm still continue sharpening my tools. I still recognize lots of inefficiencies in what I do. And almost always, the inefficiencies come from my following my natural human nature. It's fascinating that we have to overcome nature to be more efficient. Human nature always results in inefficiencies. And it makes sense, right? Because as Ray Dalio said in his seminal book, The Principles, 90% of our brain is midbrain and low brain. These have to do with the most primitive instinct, which is music, rhythm, food, and those are much well developed over hundreds of thousands of years, right? So that is essentially dominating our behavior. The cortex, the upper brain, it just only was developed in the last 5 to 10,000 years when human society was formed. So the logical thinking comes much later and is much weaker determinant of our behavior. So Shi Ban Gong Bei is essentially ask ourselves we start with a very disadvantaged situation. We're controlled by 90% low brain, emotional, irrational, and we try to use the 10%, the cerebral cortex, to control that, which is much smaller in mass. As Ray Dalio said, as human, we go through life, we may think we are fighting other people, maybe we're fighting the society, we're fighting people around us or society or whatever. No, Ray Dalio said that we go through life, each one of us is not fighting against other people. It's not about fighting against other things. Every one of us going through life is fighting within ourselves. What does that mean? It's the fight between our own lower brain, which is the midbrain, the small brain, and this has to do with primitive instinct, 90%. And there is a fight between that, our lower brain, and our upper brain, which is cerebral cortex, the reasoning, the logical. So we go through life, it's fighting between the lower brain and upper brain within ourselves, between what we feel like doing and what we should be doing. They are often different. Any other question? Dr. Chen, I have a question that the third Wednesday, does it work well for most people? It works for you, third Wednesday? You are muted, Dr. Chen.
No problem.
Okay, so we can keep the same time as such.
You have a type 1 is the, I think is the March 19 is the Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
March yeah, you type is the Tuesday.
Oh, I put it Tuesday. Yes. So can you change that blog?
Yeah, I can change it now.
Change to Wednesday and repost it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Good catch up. Professor Low, what do you think about what we talk about today? You're leading a department. Obviously, you have to deal with lots of irrationalities and emotionalities of human being, right? Member of faculty and all that. It's hard to just use logic.
Like a few decades ago, I studied a course called optimization, and there's a lot of mathematical formulas. But I think your your book actually summarized everything very well, and so that will be great guiding principles. And a thought that I have about one of these participants. When we cannot change the others. I remember one of my favorite role model is Francis of Assisi. He told his followers and students saying that preach always or teach always and use words only if necessary. That means we have to teach others by our personal example. And the thing is, if we cannot persuade the other person, maybe we have not been doing a good job in terms of being a role model for the other person. And so we, as you said, we should look at ourselves, look into the mirror. Maybe I should be a better person so that the other one would become a better person.
Absolutely. And Dale Carnegie said that in his seminal book, How to Make Friends Influence People. Is it's interesting that behavior, people watching what others do rather than trusting what they say, is emotional. Do you understand? That's emotional. That's emotional behavior, human being, that it is my emotional behavior if I just watch what Johnny does rather than listening to what he said, right? Logically, I should listen also what he said, but I don't. If I follow my human nature, I just watch what he does. So what you said is absolutely right. It is recognizing that human nature, that we tend to be more influenced by what others do rather than what others says. If we can take advantage of that human nature and turn it into positive, we can more influence people by setting our example ourselves. I mean, but logically, it should not make a difference, right? If you explain it or you clearly state your reason, people should change, just as easily. No, people do not change with logical reasoning. They only change based on emotional experience.
Yeah, that's right. Agree 100%.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Anyone else? Any other peril? I saw Scott Chow join us.
Yes, I'd like to ask Dr. Wang a question.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is my first time joining your meeting.
Welcome.
Actually, I was looking at some of those pros and start to realize that maybe I can apply some of those pros in my situation as a caregiver of my wife who is having dementia. So maybe I should go back and look at your book or your notes and to see how that may be applicable to my situation. What do you think?
Yes, indeed, indeed. As I mentioned, I took care of my father-in-law for 5 years, and lamenting every day how what I thought miserable he was, until towards the end of 5 years, all of a sudden it dawned on me, I was the one who has been stressed out all 5 years, because I always worry about and always wish that he could do this, he could do that, while he has absolutely no desire to do it. So the point there, and when you're taking care of your wife, you to recognize this, that she actually does not desire much right now. The human happiness has nothing to do with how much we want, has nothing to do with how much we have, has to do with the distance between how much we want and how much we have. The smaller the distance between the two, the happier we are. So your wife, without, it's counterintuitive. Actually, she's actually happier than you, because she actually does not desire much. So the point there is, what is the benefit of recognizing that? The benefit is then, now, Scott, you have to do more to take care of yourself. Because as caretakers, we worry so much of the people, the patient we're being taken care of. Oh, my father-in-law is miserable, unhappy. You must be missing so much joy in life. In that process, I stress myself out and deteriorate my own health. So by recognizing your wife is actually happier than you, even though she could do a lot less than you, it has a positive effect of their realization, because you end up taking care more about yourself. Because without realizing it, you keep on stressing and taking pity on her, ignore yourself. You're the one who is more unhappy than her. That's the point. So you are the one who actually is the patient, more of a patient than her. So take care of yourself, because you have desire and you have unmet need. She does not have the desire anymore.
So what are the, maybe you can give me some of the pros that I can practice to make myself happier.
For example, very beautiful weather. You want to go out. You know, it's beautiful weather, warm, and so, honey, let's take a walk, right? She does not want to. Now, our traditional viewpoint is, you would think, you know, she's miserable. Such a beautiful weather, she cannot enjoy. So you are stressed out. You're trying to make all kinds of tricks and to trick her, go out and, you know, find, and you stress out. She doesn't want to go, and you stress yourself out in the whole process, because you realize, you thought she was the unhappy party because she could not enjoy beautiful weather outside, but actually it was you, because you're the one who has the gap between what you want, what you can have. Recognizing that's important. That means what? She's actually very happy, not going out enjoying the weather. You're the one who's unhappy. So moderate yourself. You know, sometimes if she is in the room, as long as she's safe, she does not miss the beautiful weather outside. She does not even understand what that means. So if you can, you know, make sure she stays safe, and you go out and jog yourself, or find some friends to jog together, that's the way to deal with that problem, rather than forcing her to go out with you where she has absolutely no desire to enjoy the good weather.
I see. I appreciate your answer. That's very, very practical.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank
you have to recognize you're the one who actually have that need. The notion that it's a beautiful day today It's only in your head, not in hers.
Mm.
So if you have the unmet desire, beautiful day, it would be pity not to go take a walk. That misery, not meeting the need, is only in you. So we tend to think, oh, if we find her a very comfortable environment, make sure she's safe, not to fall or something, then it's kind of like she will be miserable, left in the home alone, sitting there, not doing anything, just dozing off. No, she's happy. You go out and enjoy yourself, run, do the jog, and do whatever, as long as she's safe, and you come back, she did not miss anything. Rather than forcing her to go out to walk with you and she does not want to, in the process you make yourself unhappy, you make her unhappy, but she does not want to go. It's a complete change of understanding of the situation.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Dr. Wang.
You're welcome, Scott. You're welcome to come back, Scott. We do every third Wednesday. Next one on the chat room, everybody. I put it my contact information, email, website, and also my WeChat. And I type in 3 things. One is to attend the next Vision Zoom. It's February 25th, Tuesday, 6:45, RSVP. And also, if you want to watch the film Sight Free, and that's the link. And number 3, if you want to attend the next Shi Ban Gong Bei Zoom, that's March 19th, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Same Zoom number. So if you want to take a picture of the chat room right now, the Dr. Chen has nicely copied for us the last block, which says 8:59 p.m. To take an iPhone picture of the very last block. Then you have all 3 events information. Okay, so Dr. Chen, Lin Hui, any additional question before we close? Or anybody has anything? Harold, anything to say? Any suggestion? JC, I saw that. Dr. Chen, thank you again for your help consistently. And I guess I will see everyone. Anybody, again, if you need the book, just let Dr. Chen know. In fact, put in your chat room, say, I'm John Smith, and here's my mailing address or something. Or you can just email me your mailing address, and I will mail a copy of book as a little gift to you, Shi Ban Gong Bei book. And again, this book is not about earth-shattering new science. It's all about existing understanding of human nature. And the only reason to use the book that I found to be beneficial to me is that I literally normally don't use it. I do not recognize my own human nature, irrationality, and inefficiency. So, and even worse, I don't even practice the countermeasure. So if you read those books, once a day, take 10 minutes to read it and get these pros in your mind and observe your own behavior, your friends, your colleagues, your family members, you will discover lots of new opportunities to improve yourself and ultimately to make yourself happier. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Good night. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. 谢谢. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.